What do women really want? It's a question that's haunted men for centuries, sparking endless debates, self-help books, and late-night conversations. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Almost everyone gets it wrong. The answers you've been fed, romance, security, emotional connection, are comforting myths, repeated so often that they feel like gospel. But what if I told you that these beliefs are not just incomplete, but dangerously misleading? If you don't know the real answer, you'll always be at a disadvantage, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you care. This isn't about blaming or shaming. It's about seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Through the ruthless lens of Machiavelli, we're going to strip away the illusions and reveal the brutal truth about female nature, a truth that's both uncomfortable and liberating. Are you ready to challenge everything you think you know? Comment below. What do you think women want most? Be honest, no judgment. Let's start by exposing the biggest lie you've been told. From the moment we're old enough to notice the opposite sex, we're bombarded with messages about what women supposedly want. Movies paint a picture of grand romantic gestures, flowers, candlelit dinners, love letters written in the rain. Pop songs croon about soulmates and destiny, while social media influencers peddle the idea that the key to a woman's heart is endless validation and emotional vulnerability. Even the so-called relationship experts echo the same advice. Be sensitive, be supportive, be her best friend. The message is clear. If you want to win a woman over, you need to be the perfect gentleman, the hopeless romantic, the emotional rock. But let's be honest, how often has following this script actually worked? How many times have you watched the nice guy get overlooked, while someone else, someone who doesn't play by the rules, captures her attention? The mainstream narrative tells you that women crave security, affection, and deep emotional connection above all else. It's a comforting story, one that makes us feel safe and virtuous. It's also a story that's been repeated so many times, it's become almost impossible to question. Yet, if you look around, the reality doesn't match the myth. You see men who do everything right, left confused and frustrated, wondering why their efforts go unnoticed. You see relationships where the spark dies. Despite all the right moves, you see women drawn to men who are mysterious, unpredictable, even a little dangerous. Qualities that don't fit the mainstream mold at all. Most men waste years chasing the wrong thing. Are you one of them? The truth is, these comforting beliefs are reinforced everywhere you look. Hollywood sells you the fantasy because it's profitable. Pop psychology packages it because it's easy to digest. Even your friends and family repeat it because it's what they've been told. But if you've ever followed this advice and felt it backfire, you're not alone. Have you ever poured your heart out, only to be met with indifference? Have you ever tried to be the perfect guy, only to watch her lose interest? Share your story below. But what if I told you these beliefs are not just wrong? They're designed to keep you powerless. Niccolo Machiavelli, the infamous Renaissance strategist, didn't waste time with fairy tales. He believed that beneath every human interaction, every smile, every promise, every tear, there's a single relentless force at work. The pursuit of power, not just political power, but the ability to shape outcomes, control environments, and secure one's own interests. Machiavelli saw the world as a chessboard, not a love story. And if you want to understand female nature, or human nature at all, you have to be willing to see past the sentimental surface and look at the moves being made beneath. Let's be clear. This isn't about demonizing women or reducing them to caricatures. It's about recognizing that, just like men, women are strategic. They're not driven solely by romance or emotion, but by a deep, often subconscious, need to secure power in their lives. This power can take many forms: social influence, emotional leverage, financial security, or simply the ability to choose and shape their own destiny. The mainstream narrative wants you to believe that women are passive, waiting to be swept off their feet by the right man. But Machiavelli would laugh at that idea. He'd tell you that everyone, regardless of gender, is playing a game, even if they don't realize it. Think about it. Why do some women gravitate toward men with status, confidence, or resources? Why do they test boundaries, challenge authority, or create drama? It's not random. It's not just about feelings. It's about assessing who holds the power and how they can align themselves with it, or even control it. Ignore this, and you'll always be confused by women's actions. You'll take words at face value, missing the deeper motivations at play. You'll wonder why your heartfelt gestures fall flat, while someone else's indifference sparks obsession. Machiavelli's philosophy cuts through the noise. He teaches us that sentimentality is often a mask for strategy. People, women included, will say they want honesty, vulnerability, and unconditional love. But watch what they do, not what they say. Actions reveal the real priorities. When a woman chooses a partner, she's not just looking for a soulmate. She's evaluating who can offer her the most power, protection, and potential. This doesn't mean love is fake or that emotions don't matter. It means that, at the core, power is the currency that drives attraction and decision-making. This perspective is uncomfortable because it challenges everything we've been taught. It forces us to admit that relationships aren't just about connection. They're about negotiation, leverage, and influence. It explains why the nice guy so often loses to the man who understands the game. It's not about being cruel or manipulative. It's about seeing reality for what it is and acting accordingly. So, do you agree that power is the real motivator? Why or why not? Let's look at how this plays out in real life and why so many men miss the signs. If you strip away all the noise, all the cliches, and all the wishful thinking, you'll find that the one thing women truly want is security. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think security is just about money or physical safety. That's the surface level understanding, the kind you'll hear from your parents, your teachers, or the latest relationship guru. But Machiavellian insight goes deeper. Security, in its most potent form, is about power. It's about having control over one's environment, options, and future. It's about knowing you can influence outcomes, avoid threats, and never be at the mercy of someone else's whims. Think about how this plays out in relationships. On the surface, a woman might say she wants a man with a good job, a stable income, or a nice home. But look closer, and you'll see that what she's really seeking is the power that comes from being with someone who can navigate the world, command respect, and protect her from chaos. It's not just about the paycheck. It's about the ability to create order out of disorder, to be a source of strength when things get tough. Miss this, and you'll never understand why women choose the men they do. But security isn't just financial or physical. It's social. Women are acutely aware of social hierarchies. Who's respected? Who's influential? Who's connected? Being with a man who holds social power means access to better opportunities, higher status, and a stronger network. It's emotional. A woman wants to know that her partner is emotionally stable, unshakable under pressure, and capable of handling life's storms. Emotional security is about knowing that no matter what happens, she won't be abandoned or left to fend for herself. And it's psychological. The most attractive men are those who are self-assured, who know who they are, and who don't crumble in the face of adversity. That kind of psychological power is magnetic. It promises safety on a level that goes far beyond material wealth. This is why you'll see women drawn to men who exude confidence, who have a sense of purpose, who don't need validation from others. It's why status, reputation, and even a hint of danger can be so compelling. These qualities signal power, the ability to shape reality, to protect, to provide, and to lead. It's not about being domineering or controlling. It's about being a source of stability in a world that's unpredictable and often ruthless. So, when you see a woman choosing a partner, look past the obvious. She's not just picking a provider or a protector. She's aligning herself with power in all its forms. Have you noticed these patterns in your own relationships? Let's discuss. Now let's expose the tactics women use, often unconsciously, to secure this power. If you can't spot these moves, you're already losing the game. Most men walk through life assuming that women's actions are innocent, spontaneous, or purely emotional. But Machiavellian wisdom teaches us to look deeper. Many of the behaviors you see, whether subtle or overt, are actually strategies designed to gain and maintain power. Sometimes these moves are conscious, but often they're instinctive, shaped by centuries of social evolution. Either way, ignoring them leaves you vulnerable to manipulation and confusion. Let's start with one of the most common tactics, testing. You've probably heard of shit tests. Those moments when a woman challenges your confidence, questions your decisions, or pushes your boundaries. On the surface, it might seem playful or even annoying, but in reality, these tests are a way to gauge your strength. Can you hold your ground? Are you easily rattled? If you fail, you signal weakness. If you pass, you prove you're a source of security and power. This isn't about cruelty. It's about survival. Women want to know they're aligning with someone who won't crumble under pressure. Then there's manipulation, not the cartoonish villainous kind, but the subtle art of influence. This can look like playing hard to get, using compliments or criticism to steer your behavior, or creating situations where you have to prove your worth. For example, she might mention other men who are interested in her, not to make you jealous, but to see how you react. Will you compete, retreat, or stand your ground? Every move is a data point, helping her assess your value and resilience. Social alliances are another powerful tool. Women are often masters at building networks, friend groups, social circles, even online communities. These alliances provide information, support, and leverage. If you've ever felt like your every move is being watched or discussed, you're not imagining things. Social proof matters. If her friends approve of you, your stock rises. If they don't, you're fighting an uphill battle. Women use these networks to gather intel, set social norms, and sometimes to apply pressure without ever lifting a finger. Even seemingly innocent behaviors can be strategic. Flirting with others in your presence, withdrawing affection to test your reaction, or suddenly becoming distant. These are all ways to shift the power dynamic. The goal isn't always conscious domination. Sometimes it's about reassurance, sometimes about control, and sometimes just about keeping you on your toes. But make no mistake, these moves are part of the game. Real-world examples are everywhere. Think of the woman who suddenly becomes less available when you show too much interest, or the one who praises you in front of others to boost your confidence and her own social standing. These aren't random acts. They're calculated plays, whether she realizes it or not. Which of these strategies have you seen in action? Comment your experience. So, how can you protect yourself and even turn the tables? Master this, and you'll never be manipulated again. The truth is, most men stumble through relationships as passive participants, reacting to every test, every shift in mood, every subtle power play. But Machiavellian self-improvement is about flipping the script, becoming the architect of your own fate, not just a pawn in someone else's game. If you want to command respect and attraction, you need to recognize power plays for what they are, set unbreakable boundaries, and cultivate a mindset that's immune to emotional turbulence. First, awareness is your greatest weapon. Start by observing, not reacting. When you notice a test or a manipulation tactic, don't get defensive or try to fix things. Instead, ask yourself, what's really happening here? Is this about love or is it about power? By stepping back and analyzing the situation, you strip away the emotional fog and see the game for what it is. This alone puts you ahead of 90% of men who are too busy chasing approval to notice the moves being made around them. Next, set boundaries. and enforce them without apology. If a woman tests you, don't bend over backwards to prove yourself. If she tries to manipulate you with jealousy or withdrawal, don't chase. Instead, calmly assert your standards. Let her know, through your actions, that you won't tolerate disrespect or games. This isn't about being cold or cruel. It's about showing that your self-worth isn't up for negotiation. The paradox is, the more you respect yourself, the more others will respect you. Women are drawn to men who are unshakable, who don't flinch under pressure, who know exactly what they will and won't accept. Emotional detachment is another key. This doesn't mean shutting down or becoming a robot. It means refusing to let your emotions dictate your decisions. When you're calm and centered, you can respond strategically instead of impulsively. If she pulls away, you don't panic. You give her space and focus on your own goals. If she tries to provoke you, you don't bite the bait. You stay cool and collected. This kind of self-mastery is magnetic. It signals that you're in control of yourself and your environment, which is the ultimate form of power. Finally, think several moves ahead. Machiavellian strategy is about anticipating outcomes, not just reacting to the present moment. If you sense a power play, consider where it's leading. What does she want? What do you want? How can you align your interests without sacrificing your integrity? The man who thinks strategically is never caught off guard. He's always prepared, always a step ahead. Are you ready to take control? Type, "I refuse to be powerless" in the comments. But what about love? Is it all just a game? At this point, you might be thinking, isn't this all a bit too cynical? Are relationships really just a series of power plays and strategic moves? It's a fair question, and one that deserves an honest answer. Most people never reach this level of understanding, will you? The truth is, seeing the world through a Machiavellian lens doesn't mean you have to become cold, manipulative, or incapable of love. In fact, it's the opposite. When you understand the real forces at play, when you see beyond naive idealism, you're finally free to build relationships that are both authentic and resilient. Naive idealism tells you that love is pure, unconditional, and effortless. It's a beautiful fantasy, but it leaves you unprepared for the realities of human nature. When you ignore power dynamics, you set yourself up for disappointment, confusion, and heartbreak. You become easy to manipulate, easy to discard, and easy to overlook. Empowered realism, on the other hand, is about seeing things as they are, not as you wish they were. It's about acknowledging that everyone, consciously or not, is seeking security, influence, and leverage. This isn't a flaw. It's a fact of life. But here's the twist. When you approach relationships with awareness and integrity, you actually create space for something deeper. You're not playing games to hurt or control anyone. You're simply refusing to be blind. You set boundaries, communicate honestly, and choose partners who respect your strength. You're able to give love freely because you're not afraid of losing yourself in the process. Real connection isn't about ignoring power. It's about balancing it. It's about two people who choose each other, not out of desperation or illusion, but out of mutual respect and understanding. So, do you think power and love can coexist? Let's debate below. Let's wrap up with the key takeaways and your next steps. Here's the brutal truth. Beneath the surface of every relationship, power is always at play. Female nature, like male nature, is driven by the need for security, influence, and control, not just romance or sentiment. Most people drift through life clinging to comforting myths, never realizing how much these illusions hold them back. But those who act on this knowledge will never see relationships the same way again. When you embrace Machiavellian insights, you stop living as a passive participant and start shaping your own destiny. You become stronger, more self-aware, and far less likely to be manipulated or blindsided. This isn't about cynicism, it's about clarity, confidence, and real connection. If you found this eye-opening, hit like and share your biggest takeaway in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more forbidden knowledge and strategies to level up your life. Share this video with someone who needs to hear the truth. Your journey to power and self-mastery starts now.